Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Break at the Apex podcast. And again, me and BT are running it solo tonight because someone apparently is too busy for the podcast. Welcome back. It's been another 3 week break that we all hated, but we're back and F1 is better than ever. BT, how are you doing tonight?
Um, yeah, it's good to be back. It's been a while. I think F1 should stop giving us these droughts because we do get bored in the weekend. But yeah, interesting race. Uh, couldn't concentrate on it for too long, or at spats where I was just losing focus. But yeah, I'm happy to talk about it. How are you doing?
No, man, I'm doing good. It's been a busy weekend. I also didn't watch the race as detailed as I usually would, but we definitely have enough to talk about. So yeah, and guys, also the reason Graham isn't joining us here, me and BT give him a lot of crap, but Graham is actually very busy with work, and he actually the podcast where Max Verstappen wins his fourth world championship is the podcast where Graham's job decides, nah, you got to work. So, guys, before me
Yeah.
and BT go anywhere further, Graham has recorded a small little clip that's going to be inserted. Here's Graham's thoughts. Enjoy.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for giving me my 2 minutes of fame. Thank you for carrying this podcast for the last couple of episodes. I really appreciate you guys, and I hope the fans understand how much I appreciate you guys. I will, however, be back for the last two episodes of the season, and I cannot wait. It's going to be absolutely epic. I have been extremely busy, but ladies and gentlemen, I will be back. And for now, I just wanted to give my 2 cents on the World Championship. If you don't want to hear my 2 cents, I am sorry. It's not my problem. But you can skip. It's going to be about 2 minutes. You're more than welcome to skip and watch these other two lovely gentlemen if you enjoy them more. If you do want to hear my opinion, here it is. So, first of all, I just want to say that I've had some time to reflect. I've looked at some, uh, what do you call it, news outlets, if you want to call it that, or pundits and so on. And I have to say, guys, the notion of Max Verstappen, because he won the first 5 or 7 races or whatever, he's had the best car. No, guys, that's less than a third of the season. This is the first true championship that he won that he did not have the best car, and there was no drama or anything that occurred in the sense of Michael Massey, for example. This is the championship that makes you realize how good Max actually is. And you can say what you like about it. The reality is that this guy, for at least 2/3 or more of the season, did not have the best car, but he was able to stick it out. And by the way, can we just put into perspective? Like a lot of you will say that, yeah, he had the best car for the first half of the season and so on. Well, first of all, I've just said that that's not the case. Second of all, I do want to also highlight that I think after race seven, after race 7 or 8, Max was 54 points ahead of Lando Norris, and currently he is 60 odd points ahead of Lando Norris. So if we took out the first 7 races, he would still be winning this championship if you think about it, which is extremely impressive if you think that he's not had the best car since then at all, not in one race. Okay, so quite honestly, you've got to give him his flowers. You've got to say, well done, Max Verstappen. What a performance. I think this has probably got to be one of the best, for him at least, definitely. But I think just in general, this is going to be one of the best world championships that I've seen happen, that didn't have much drama in terms of Michael Massey rigging this or doing this, or nothing for people to hate on Max for. Although of course people will find things to hate on him for. All I'm saying is there's nothing concrete that you can really hate Max for. You can only just appreciate that, damn, well, he really is good. So I just wanted to make my 2 cents and just say well done to Max Verstappen. You really deserve that. Well done to his team and to everybody that gave him the support to continue pushing. You really did a phenomenal job. You've really shown what a good driver you really are. And quite honestly, definitely one of the best. And it has to be said that even Lewis Hamilton has said that in the last week. So just saying, guys. Anyways, I'm going to send you guys back to these two fools. These two lovely gentlemen. I miss them. I miss you guys. I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for hearing my 2 cents. Cheers.
Okay, some interesting words from Graham there, BT. But obviously, just him hyping up Max as usual. Nothing new. He's Christian Horner Jr., as we all know. But let's get into the two people that everybody clicked on this podcast to listen to, and that's me and you, the Ferrari boys. And actually,
Yes.
let's start off with Ferrari because they were the team where all the drama was centered around this weekend. From Charles having those very, I wouldn't say obnoxious, but very clearly frustrated team radios post race. Carlos
Mm-hmm.
doing some sketchy stuff on track. I mean, it was just a bit of a chaotic weekend for Ferrari. They beat McLaren. And I mean, if they do the same in Qatar, we've definitely got a championship fight on our hands for the constructors. It's very close between them. But let's talk about Carlos Sainz first. That move
Okay.
when Hamilton that was following him into the pit lane, like obviously I get that's not completely Carlos's fault. The team weren't ready for him, and obviously, as far as I'm concerned, I want to get more towards the stewards because it at any other racetrack in any other scenario that is a slam dunk penalty. You're not allowed to cross those wide pit line lanes. And were the FIA sleeping like you and I were at some parts of the race? Were they just not paying attention? What do you think happened there?
Um, to be honest, guys, I didn't see that, but look, I think that race in general was very like, can I say chaotic, but not the Brazilian way? And I think
Mm,
FIA didn't want to actually bother with the flow of the race because that race started off very hot with the
mm,
clear
yes.
spot on science, and everything just went through the roof afterwards with the different teams swapping positions and all of that. So that race from the start, it was electrifying. It was a good race. I'm not gonna say it was a bad race or a boring race. It's a good race. So the way I see it, maybe they were sleeping, or maybe it was one of those that let's leave it. We don't have to challenge it. No one's going to be affected by a decision anyway. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm.
Yeah, so that's just the way I saw it. And look, to me, they made the right decision not to just mess up with the flow of the race. To be honest, what do you think? I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah, well, honestly, where I would usually go out of my way to defend Ferrari, like Graham would defend Verstappen, um, for me, honestly, even though Carlos Sainz is one of my favorite drivers on the grid, for me, again, that was a slam dunk penalty because literally him and Lewis were both braking. They were already aimed into the pit lane. Like there was a few millimeters between Sainz hitting the wall and, going back onto the track. So for me, honestly, I mean, we looked at Yuki Tsunoda. It was last season at the Red Bull Ring where he got two penalties during the race. I can't remember if it was last season or this season, but at Austria, he literally nipped those white lines that guides him into the pit lane in the final corner, the penultimate corner at the Red Bull Ring, and he both times he got 10-second penalties. Sainz literally skipped a part of the track just
Oh,
trying to stay on track. And I mean, again, Ferrari told Sainz literally as he was entering the pit lane, we are not ready, stay out. We are not ready, stay out. So that is on the team. But honestly, a Sainz is lucky. There's no other way to put it. Sainz is lucky that he got away with that. But in my personal opinion, that was a slam dunk, like 10-second penalty. I mean, even Lewis on the radio asked, like, what the hell is Sainz doing? So it was a very big miscommunication,
yeah.
and I think Ferrari really need to reevaluate because it was the stage of the race where everybody was going in for their second pit stops. And as far as the planning seemed, it seemed like Sainz was going to get preference above Leclerc to pit first, and he was ready. It was his lap to pit, and Ferrari just weren't ready. So that to me was a big team error from Ferrari, and Sainz should have gotten the penalty but never did, which he can count as lucky stars for. But moving on to the other side of the Ferrari garage of BT, I really
Before
want your
before you
opinion
go
on.
on, Dirk. Sorry, before you go on, Dirk.
No
So
problem.
if the FIA missed that call, do uh, do you think they missed the call, or did they like just say, let's just leave it? We know in other sports you do get those type of calls, but do we
Mm,
get those calls in Formula One? Like my thing about that particular incident is that if Hamilton was to challenge that and Sainz got a 10-second penalty, right?
Mhm.
At the end of the day, was Lewis racing Sainz or was Lewis racing Russell? Do you think that's why they left the call?
Honestly, the only team that actually sent in a appeal, as far as I know, was McLaren, which is obvious because they're racing Ferrari and the constructors, and they want Ferrari to lose more points.
Yeah.
But I think Hamilton and Mercedes' sights were set on a 1-2, and Hamilton wanted to go catch Russell to prove, I think, really to prove to all his haters that he's not washed. These comments online are completely pathetic. But I think the only reason Mercedes didn't appeal it is exactly what you're saying. Lewis had his eyes on the bigger picture. For him, it was catching Russell, and for Mercedes, it was securing a 1-2. And they knew their car was faster than Ferrari on race day. So they didn't need to appeal it because they were going to catch and pass Sainz no matter what. So, and the fact that Sainz actually stayed out cost him the position against Lewis, because fresh tires this weekend was almost 3 seconds a lap. So Lewis got the undercut on Sainz, passed him easily, and Sainz was not a factor for the Mercs for the rest of the race. So for me,
Okay.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. Why they didn't appeal it? I just still feel the FIA really just the fact that they didn't make a call, they didn't investigate it, they didn't even note the incident, is for me it comes to the sense of being unprofessional. This is the highest peak of motorsport. Stuff like this can't fly. So this is a bigger question mark towards the FIA towards the stewarding than Ferrari themselves.
Okay.
So but just a very odd situation. I couldn't wrap my head around it in the moment that it happened. So
yeah, it was very odd actually, very very odd.
Yeah.
Because they usually
But
catch everything, but in this case, yeah.
I mean, literally, the camera that was running when this happened was literally Lewis is on board. You can see Sainz 5 meters ahead of him, and the next moment, Sainz just gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not the track. That's the pit entry. Why did you do that? So, yeah, very interesting scenario. But in any case, let's move on to the other side of the Ferrari garage. BT, now, although I did hammer on Sainz a bit, I don't know about you, but I understand Charles's frustration post-race, and I understand where he came from. And I mean, we here on Break It the Epics have been talking the whole year that Charles has been preparing himself mentally for Hamilton. We know how good Lewis is. We know Lewis is not going to let Charles just beat him. It's not who Lewis Hamilton is. But Charles' reaction, I'm not going to say it was it was a bad thing, but for me, it was an overreaction. Sainz has got nothing to lose. He's got 3 races left with the team, this one included when it happened. He wants to make his resume as appealing as possible to any of the big teams when a spot goes open. And it doesn't just happen next year at the Williams. It's starting now. So, like I said, I understand Leclerc's frustration, and I don't have anything against it, but I feel it was a bit over dramatic, and he should have kept better control. Because if that is the attitude that he's going to have racing against a 7-time world champion and Lewis Hamilton, Lewis is going to mentally destroy Leclerc if that is the situation. And give me your opinion on this, because I would love to hear your opinion on this.
To be honest with you, my opinion might not be favored. I like this from Charles.
Okay. Elaborate.
Remember when I told you that Norris doesn't have this?
Yes.
This was Norris. This was what Norris is supposed to do during the season. When he sees something he doesn't like, I'm not saying it's the right way of doing it, but sometimes it is the right way of doing it. That might sound confused to you guys, but sometimes as the driver, you need to shake up the team a bit.
No, I agree with that.
You need to shake up the team a bit because Charles now is practicing, or he's getting ready to have Lewis Hamilton in the team. So what he's doing is that he's also getting ready, or letting the team get ready to the team to know as well that he'll be not be like have a voice as well.
Yes.
We saw Norris, the timid move, the timid and the more understanding things, they don't really work out. Depends what team you are
Mm.
in, but it didn't really work out for Norris. Charles is stepping in as showing the team that he's ready to be the number one driver for Ferrari. If something
Yes,
wrong happens or if something doesn't go in my favor, I'm gonna call out the team. So
yes.
do you know what that does to the team? It makes the team more sharper. It
Oh,
makes
yes,
the team
absolutely.
it makes the team think twice of actually doing a certain strategy or implementing something that Charles won't be happy about. Ask Verstappen how's that going in Red Bull. Verstappen does this every week, every race
Yes.
weekend. So what's different from what Charles is doing and what Verstappen is doing in Red Bull? So that's why I'm saying I liked it. I'm not saying I would like to see it every weekend, but when certain things like that happen and when you're not happy and you feel, as Charles, that you're in the right and you deserve certain treatment or certain strategy or certain privileges than science, because science is leaving, voice out your opinion.
Yes.
That's all I'm going to
No,
say about it.
no, BT, actually, that's why I love, talking about these topics with you, because you look at these types of things in such a different perspective to the general fan. And yes, in this situation, I'm going to label myself as a general fan because I actually didn't think into it that deeply. But it makes sense what you're saying. Look, you hit the nail on the head when you said, he shouldn't act like this every single time something goes wrong. But it's showing that first driver character that he needs to be a future world champion. And
Yes.
it's true what you said that Norris should have had that rugged edge to him this year, especially when Piastri took a lot of points off of him, and he didn't. And it's cost him a potential world championship. So I completely agree with you on that. And my opinion on Charles is outburst, just to sum it up, now that I've heard your part of it as well, it is justified. I don't want the viewers to understand me wrong. It is justified. There's just, I understand in the car, it's the heat of the moment. I mean, Sebastian Vettel said it best. Like, if you put a mic on a football player or a rugby player and don't think those
Yes.
guys swear and say
Yes.
very mean stuff on the field, you are just naive. And it's the same
Mhm.
thing in the car. So I understand Charles is in the heat of the moment, but I hope that isn't the same attitude and way he approached the situation post race, because we don't have any reports about it. Him and Sainz have got such a healthy, good relationship and such a good teammate chemistry that if something like this ruins it, it would be sad, because besides Carlos and Lando being such a cool friendship, Charles and Carlos had their own cool friendship, and I don't want to see that go to waste after a race like this. I doubt it will, but it was interesting to your point. Thank you for that, BT. But now, mentioning McLaren, actually, BT, we can go down this calendar and we can name multiple times where McLaren and Lando lost this drivers' championship, and we're not going to go down that rabbit hole again. But did McLaren show up this weekend? Because
No.
there were stages throughout this weekend where Alpine were faster than McLaren. They didn't show up. It's as if they've already given up on both championships. And look, it's already bad on their resume if you ask me, that they've lost this drivers' championship having the quickest car for 2/3 of the season. But if they lose this constructors championship to Ferrari, it's going to be probably the biggest blunder in Formula One in the past 2 decades. McLaren, I understand the track conditions this weekend didn't suit their car, but that car should not go from being the fastest to all of a sudden being the fourth best team. They shouldn't just swap roles with Mercedes. It doesn't make sense for me, because I did keep an eye on practice and qualifying where I could, and that team just didn't have the calls they made this weekend weren't on point, especially in qualifying. That team, it almost feels broken down now that they've lost, and they've got this constructors championship in the palm of their hands. They're busy losing both championships. And it would be the first time, I think, since the 1980s that a team loses both championships while still having the fastest car, if they do lose the constructors as well. And with all due respect to Ferrari, yes, they've been the underdogs, but they haven't been here this whole season. McLaren built the deserving car. But at this moment, Ferrari is the deserving team, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, Ferrari is looking better than McLaren at the moment. So I
Mm,
think the momentum is there. And the other thing about Ferrari is that both drivers look like they want this championship. If you actually look at it. So
absolutely.
you could see the racing they were doing in this particular circuit as well. We do know Vegas does favor Ferrari also. Mercedes was a surprise. But anyway, yeah, look, McLaren, this is sad, man.
Yes,
Um,
it is.
this is sad, and we could go back, as you said, to all the races have made mistakes and all the decisions they've made. Um, but that car was attractive this weekend.
Mm,
And remember the last episode when I told you when Norris when Norris had this energy of no, we'll catch him next year, we'll catch him in 2026.
mm.
Your car's looking like this. Your car's looking like this now. So are you sure you're going to be faster next season?
Yeah,
And
you never
and
know.
if I'm not mistaken, I'm not a track specialist. I'm Dirk. Isn't Azerbaijan and Las Vegas similar tracks?
Mm, they are. They are absolutely.
Who won in Baku?
McLaren,
What happened in Las
Piastri,
Vegas?
McLaren were nowhere. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. It
And,
doesn't.
yeah, and BT, while you're on that topic, I'm just going to mention this and you can go on. That's why I'm saying this to me is not an actual pace problem. This to me now has become a mentality problem from McLaren. That's what's concerning me about that team.
It's yeah, mostly. It's the decisions they made throughout the season.
Mm.
You can see how happy Max is. Max
Mm.
knows. Max knows he got one here. He knows
Oh,
that.
yes.
He knows that. I've never seen Max celebrate for a championship that way, bro. Except for the one in 2021. But this one, you can see in Max's face, it's like, phew. It's like
Yes.
that sign of relief that, damn, I actually won this championship.
Yes. Yeah, I can go back home and sit on the couch for the next two races if I want because no one's beating me. I'm just that good in an inferior car. And Max deserves it. Say what you want about Max Verstappen. Even if you don't like him, you have to respect him. The guy is a genius inside the cockpit of a race car. That's
Yeah,
just it is what it is.
and the thing is that McLaren can only blame themselves. They didn't take
Yes,
advantage of the situation. You can't afford to have a lot of errors going against a team like Red Bull with a driver like Max. You
yeah,
go
you
for the
can't.
kill. You go for the kill. Each and every race, you go for the kill. And if you're
Yes.
not going to do that, that's the result. And the thing is now, the sad situation is that we have watched McLaren dominate the season, the second
Mm.
half of the season, actually. Let me put it that way. The
Yes.
second half of the season, then we get to the third last race, and they nowhere to be found. There's no their pace was so bad. Like
Yes.
Norris was not even close to the Ferraris. Not even close, bro.
He wasn't even close to Max. All he had to do was finish ahead of Max to keep his championship alive.
Yes.
I think Max finished 18 seconds ahead of Lando, and Max came fifth. Max didn't win. Max didn't stand on the podium. He came fifth. He lost out to both the Mercs and both the Ferraris. Max didn't have this incredible, sensational race like he did back in Brazil. He did damage limitation, and he still destroyed Lando this weekend. And I remember I said this on our podcast for the Hungarian Grand Prix when McLaren forced the Lando and Piastri to swap to give Piastri his first win. And I said after that race, Lando is not winning this championship. Besides the fact that Max is too far ahead, McLaren can't make the right calls. And look, Lando has got a lot of blame to take for losing this championship, but McLaren have just as much. McLaren have absolutely thrown the opportunity of a lifetime down the drain. And
Can I,
it's something that if I was a driver, like if I'm Oscar Piastri, like I understand, I'm the young guy, I've got a good team, a good car, but this will honestly give me concerns for my future. If I'm an up and coming driver like Oscar Piastri or an Ollie Behrman or a Liam Lawson, and you've been in this situation and you're like, okay, the team will prioritize me, but what if I'm in that position and there's another guy that's just as fast as I am? I would not have faith in my team to make the right calls. And yes, I understand I'm going out on a big limb here. There's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes. But McLaren have fumbled the ball so bad, and literally they built a car that was able to give them this on a silver platter, and they just threw it in the dustbin.
Yeah, no, look, dude. The thing is, before we move on, I'm gonna ask you this question. Do you honestly? I'm not saying Lando didn't want this championship. He did, but from the outside, do you honestly think Norris had the urgency of trying to win this championship?
My complete honest answer, and this is going to make people mad, especially the Lando fans, but I don't think he did. I honestly think the way McLaren treated this drivers' championship was the fact that they were more focused on the constructors. They didn't see the opportunity that was placed in front of them. Don't get me wrong. Yes, the constructors is important. Yes, it is an absolute statement to win that. But we've said it so many times on this podcast. Nobody talks about the constructor that won 10 years in the future. They talk about the driver who won and that the team the driver was part of. Yes, it's nice to win a constructors. Yes, you get the big bucks, but nobody remembers you for winning a constructors championship. They remember the driver and the team who won the drivers championship. And I just think McLaren never, like, it was in the back of their minds, but it wasn't the main thought of, we can win this with Lando. We need to prioritize and push Lando. They just never did. And again, I just, honestly, my opinion, don't get me wrong, Red Bull did fight for this and their car was terrible at stages, especially at certain tracks. That car was terrible, and Max just proved again why he's one of the best to ever do it. Yeah. But Red Bull didn't have the amount of stress with Lando that they had with Leclerc in 2022 or with Hamilton in 2021. You could see in these last 5 races that we had, Red Bull weren't concerned about McLaren because they knew they had it in the bag because McLaren couldn't make the critical calls. Red Bull knew, as long as we just make sure Max finishes good in the points, mainly top 5s, we've got this. We don't need to worry about this. And I think Red Bull knew at some point Lando was going to fold under the pressure and they were going to fumble this. And it's exactly what happened. And Max is a 4-time Drivers' World Champion. He equals my probably one of my favorite drivers of all time, Sebastian Vettel, in the same team. And from my side, congratulations, Max Verstappen. Yeah. You deserve this one.
Yeah, congratulations, man.
So yeah, BT, in any case, let's move on to, I think, something that you might be very excited to talk about. And that is definitely the 2 Mercedes boys.
Bro,
okay. Let's quickly state the facts, and then me and you will go into what our opinions is of it. Yeah. So the reason Mercedes were so quick at, what was it? It was Silverstone where Lewis won, then Spa where Russell won but got disqualified, and Austria. Oh, but obviously Austria was when Lando and Max came together, so we rule that one out. And the reason they won in Silverstone and in Spa was because of the cold conditions. Now, Vegas being at this time of the year, it is winter in the States. It's a cold track. And that's why the Merc was fast. That's the facts. But again, I know we should be singing Mercedes' praises, but from me, watching F1 as detailed as I do, I can't. Mercedes were this powerhouse where they built a car like McLaren have this year, where no matter where you took their older cars, they were fast in any conditions at any track. Now they've built a car, you can see that it's got championship winning potential, but it only works in one singular condition, and that's when it's cold. Not raining, not wet, it must just be cold. Other than that, that car goes from being the fastest when it's cold by a reasonable amount to the 4th best car and loses an insane amount, like 1.5 seconds per lap. I saw another podcast earlier today talk about this, and it's literally an average of 1 to 1.5 seconds per lap in the race from cold to hot conditions for the Mercedes. How do you make that mistake having some of the best engineers in the world at your disposal? It doesn't make sense to me. BT, what's your opinion on this?
So I think Lewis Hamilton has also said that that car it's a funny car. It's like the weird thing about that car is that how do you design a car that's the fastest car in cold weather?
Yes,
Like 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 how is that possible?
it
Like
doesn't make
just think
sense.
about it. How is that possible? So you built a car that's possibly gonna win 5 races out of 22, right? If I'm
Yes,
not mistaken. Because in Spa, they were fast. Silverstone, they were fast. Austria, they had pace.
yes,
Singapore this year, Singapore, they were not that fast, but the previous season they were. Since Singapore is
yes,
more humid race, so they didn't do quite well.
yes.
So, Dirk, your question, it's going to be hard to answer because I don't work for Mercedes. I'm not in the factory. But the thing is that on Friday, when I watched, no, sorry, Friday, Saturday or Friday, when I watched FP2, I'm seeing Russell
Mm.
and Hamilton on the top. And I remember saying to the group, I'm like, so when Mercedes become the best car in the grid?
Yeah,
Because
it didn't make sense.
they're clocking in purple sectors, they're clocking in purple sectors. And I'm like, I was literally confused. So
You and me both.
yeah, my angle now is that I think they accidentally built a car that works in cold conditions. They didn't go into the season. They didn't go in the season telling themselves, "Look, we're gonna build this car and we're gonna win Vegas. We're gonna win Silverstone. We're gonna win Austria. We're gonna win Spa." Let's just say
Yeah,
they didn't say that. So
no, they
me and you
obviously
can't.
not.
Yeah, me and you can't really answer what happened in terms of building the car, how they're optimizing the car. We don't know what they're doing. But in
Yes,
certain random races, they become competitive. Sorry, competitive, and then other races they like first or sixth best car or fourth best car in on the grid.
mm.
So and this spec now they're carrying it next year, right? They're not going to do too much changes on this spec.
Yeah.
So what are the tweaks are they going to do to this car then? You think they will be doing? Are you telling me they're going to be competitive in the same races they were this year, next year again?
Well, that is a very large possibility. But the thing is, besides Las Vegas, the other two races were only called because it's due to weather conditions. Those races are held in summertime. So if it's normal conditions, that car's not going to work. Look, I'm not an engineer or an
Yeah,
engine
that's the thing.
technique, so I can't tell you what's going to be what's going to make that car work. But Mercedes, even though in 2026 we're having a complete reg change again, if Mercedes want to be competitive next season, they're going to have to do something drastic. But again, we give him a lot of crap on this channel. But George Russell, what a race! He was fastest in most of the practice sessions. He got pole with an absolutely incredible strategy, going out literally at the last millisecond, and he just led the race from start to finish. Except for that little part at the beginning when Charles was battling him and Charles completely screwed his tires. But
Yeah,
Russell drove like people have been expecting him to drive since he got to Mercedes, and he's fumbled a lot. And for me, this was the first sign of Russell starting to figure out his, I want to say, his race and a potentially championship winning demeanor. This was a near flawless performance from Russell. Don't understand me wrong. I'm not saying Russell is your 2025 Formula One world champion. But I mean, look at Singapore last season where he crashed on the last lap. All the races where he's like Canada earlier this year, where he fumbled when he was racing Lando and Max. This was the first race where I've been like, crap, I don't see anybody breaking his, like putting him under enough pressure to crack, or I don't see him making a mistake. He's pinpoint perfect every single corner. And if this is the Russell that we have from now on, whether you like the guy or not, you're going to have to start putting him in the back of your mind when it comes to looking at race wins and championships. Because, again, say what you want about him. When he was back in that Williams, he was phenomenal. And he's taken a while to find his feet at Mercedes. But I think he finally has found his feet. And he's a threat from this point onwards, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, look, I was still annoyed when he got out of his car and he started celebrating. He looked very awkward.
He does. He does.
But look, you spot on. You nailed it. He's. Look, I think he's learning from Lewis Hamilton, but he's not showing that he's learning. But I think he's learning something. And this past race,
absolutely.
He was focused. He was fast. No mistakes, nothing, and we never saw him again. Even Lewis Hamilton didn't catch him. That says a lot. That says a lot. I thought at some point Lewis Hamilton was going to win that race, bro, because he was. He was catching him, but at some point, he just. I think he saved his tires, or he saved his tires very well. He managed his tires very well in that race, because Lewis Hamilton made that mistake. I don't know in turn what when he went over. I think he overturned. Then
yes.
Yeah, then it was over. Then you knew that Russell was going to win that race. So well done to him. I can't say well done to Mercedes because it's a really weird car. It's a weird car. It looks good at night, though. I have to say that car looks.
That car is stunning. At night, that car is stunning.
Yeah, but it's a weird car. So congratulations. As Dirk said, look, Russell, I think you're ready to lead the team. Toto has seen a lot of potential in you. You have won 3 races this season, if I'm not mistaken.
It's his third now, but he was disqualified from Spa, but he technically won.
The second race.
Yes.
Yeah, so he had a good season. Not too bad. Not too bad. Yeah.
Yes.
That's all.
But now BT. And it's always Lewis Hamilton manages to do this every time Russell performs well. Even if he doesn't beat it, he manages to put in a better performance. If Lewis didn't have the troubles in qualifying that he did, and let's say he started 5th or higher, who won this race? Hamilton or Russell?
Lewis Hamilton. There's no debate. There's no debate, bro. Why are we still talking about it? There's no debate.
Oh, man.
There's no debate.
Dude, besides that little... Sorry, continue.
Yeah, sorry, man.
Yes.
He came from 10th. He came from 10th and he finished 2nd. That should tell you something, basically.
Yeah. Lewis, 2 more to go, brother. 2 more to go. Just too bad. Park that Merc in the Ferrari garage. You know you want to. But my opinion, honestly, I also think if Lewis started even 7th, I mean, anything above 8, in my opinion, Lewis was winning that race by 5, 6, maybe even 10 seconds. Lewis, besides the little mistake he made at the end when Russell was actually able to save his tires because he was leading by such a big margin, Lewis was winning this. He was so fast. And the point that I want to get to, and it seems in the last few podcasts I like to do this, but social media has gotten so toxic towards any form of sport. People suffer from recency bias and naivety. People are naive and stupid. Anybody who says on any of their social medias or any WhatsApp group or anything that Lewis Hamilton is washed because Russell beat him this year, bro, have you been watching the same sport that we've been watching? This is Lewis freaking Hamilton. Sir Lewis Hamilton, the only driver to ever equal Michael Schumacher's Drivers' World Championship, The man that helped Mercedes to 8 consecutive Constructors' Championships. The man that won a race in his rookie season and competed for the championship in his rookie season. Anybody who says, and it's not just towards Hamilton, it's the fact that people say Max doesn't have a competitive teammate, so he always looks dominant. That is utter bullcrap. The fact that people say, no, Alonso's too old, he shouldn't race anymore. You guys don't have an idea what you're talking about. If they didn't deserve to be here, they wouldn't be here. The only person who's got that perk is Lance Stroll because his dad owns a team. But he's beyond this conversation. Every single driver that's in Formula One deserves to be there. And Lewis Hamilton, next season, in red, he's going to be revitalized. He's going to have a competitive car. It's going to take him 3 to 5 races to adjust to that car, to the team, and how things work. But watch out. 2025, second half of the season, you are going to see the Lewis Hamilton of old. And everybody else on that grid should be ready and be scared. I can't wait to see Lewis revitalized. And besides that, BT, the one last thing that I want to mention, because nothing really else happened this weekend, besides Gasly getting P3 and qualifying for Alpine. The Alpines look good. I want to say congrats to Gasly, even though it really went bad. It ended bad for Alpine in the race itself. But there's good potential for Alpine for the final little bit of the season. But I mean, Haas, 50 points. Alpine, 49 points. RB, 46 points. There's 4 points in between 3 teams for 6th place in the Constructors' Championship. And I am just as excited for those 3 teams battling that, as well as for Ferrari versus McLaren. It's equal excitement for me. And BT, I actually want to ask you, who are you going for? Haas, Alpine, or RB to take 6th in the Constructors?
Yo, Dirk, why you put me on the spot, bro? It's a tough one. Jeez. So the next race is Qatar and Abu Dhabi, right?
Yes, that's your next 2.
So
the final 2.
Ferrari does well in Abu Dhabi. Qatar.
Qatar's going to be close between Ferrari and McLaren. I think it's going to be a fist fight.
Okay, so I'll go for Haas. Haas is engine by Ferrari. I think I think Haas. Yeah, I'm choosing Haas.
Okay. Okay, no, that makes sense.
I think. Yeah.
No, I understand that. Me personally, because I've always had a soft spot for the team ever since they were Renault, I'm going with the Alpine boys. It's 1 point. It's 1 point. But I'm going more with my heart than with my mind. I'm going emotionally, not logically. I have a soft spot for Alpine. I don't like Ocon, but Gasly is one of my favorite drivers. I adore Pierre Gasly, and we saw this weekend when that car works how fast he is, and just to because Alpine are actually keeping him and got rid of Ocon, I would love to see him bring that team to 6th in the Constructors. But that is for me. Now, BT, let's quickly run through the last things and end this podcast because you and me are both extremely tired. This week has started very blue. So, BT, who or what was your blooper of the weekend?
Blooper of the weekend? Wow. This race doesn't even... I didn't even see one. Oh. This Scroll crashing FP2, right? Or
the only crash that I can remember of what I have recollection of is Colapinto in Q2. But other than that, I didn't have enough time to watch anything else. I was so busy this weekend.
You know what? I don't want to give this blooper to Colapinto. Because it's the second race now that he has crashed. Yes, Brazil conditions were tricky.
Extreme.
But these conditions were dry. Now, okay, I'm going to give it to him. No, I'm going to give it to him. Yeah, he was having such a brilliant race. And a small error caused him to DNF again and have a crash. And to add more money problems to Williams. So I'll give it to Colapinto. I'm sorry. I just have to do it.
Okay, actually, my blooper of the weekend, and it's for me, it's more blooper of the season. It's McLaren. They
That's a
they
good
fumbled
one.
the drivers. They
That's
fumbled the
actually a
drivers'
good one.
championship.
That's actually a good
Look,
one. Damn.
besides the fact that they were the slowest of the top 4 quickest cars this weekend, but okay, Perez does not count. He's like the Stroll keeping a seat situation. He's just terrible in the Red Bull. But McLaren have done, now that Max has won the drivers, McLaren had this in the bag. They just had to keep it consistent and prioritize Lando, and they couldn't do either of the two. So for me, it's McLaren. Now, your moment of the weekend, PT.
Bro, it's Lewis Hamilton. The GOAT. The GOAT, bro.
I'll give that to you. I'll give that to you.
He looked scary. It would be nice if that color of that car was red, though. It was going to be brilliant.
Nay, soon.
But yeah, no, LH 44. Yeah, I give it to you.
Bro, remember in the past decade, at Silverstone in England, we've seen nothing but British and Mercedes flags. Silverstone's going to be red next year. The British Grand Prix is going to look like the Italian Grand Prix. The Tifosi is going to be everywhere, and I can't wait for that.
Even the American racers are going to look, they're going to, because he has huge fans in America. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Bro, we're gonna be loud and proud next season. We're gonna be loud and proud. And I can't wait. Okay. So my moment of the weekend, actually, I'm not choosing a particular driver, but there was a 3-white moment between Perez, Sonoda, and I can't remember the third driver. But they were going into those final 3 corners, and that was an exceptional bit of racing. And when I saw that, I was literally like, there's someone ending in the wall. Someone's ending in the wall, and they all kept it clean. That, to me, was nothing but brilliant. And BT, final thing, your rating for this Las Vegas Grand Prix.
I mean, look, the only thing that made it exciting was we don't know where Mercedes came from, number one. We don't know. The second thing...
They don't even know. Mercedes don't even know.
The second thing that made it exciting is whether Norris was going to finish ahead of Max and if Max was going to win the championship. So there's only 2 things that were actually exciting. I mean, Ferrari, we knew Ferrari was going to be quick there. So we already knew that they might be at the top. So I'll give it a 7.5. It wasn't an exciting race. It wasn't a bad race. Not much in terms of strategy. We didn't speak about Sainz telling Ferrari, are you going to box me or you're boxing or the box? We didn't talk about that, but that was an interesting sequence as well. But 7.5 out of 10 on my side.
Okay. Yeah, guys, apologies for not speaking about that incident specifically. There was just a lot of topics actually to cover for this race, even though you wouldn't think there was. But for me, honestly, this race, don't get me wrong, it was entertaining, it was exciting, but it felt like besides Mercedes, everything happened that we knew was going to happen. We just hoped there was a little bit more spice. So nothing was unpredictable besides Mercedes. But I still want to give it to them, even though we don't know why they won. They still did a good job in when the car was fast, they won, which is something that McLaren clearly can't do. So props to Mercedes. But for me, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't anything wow. So that is it from me.
For sure.
Okay, for sure. But BT, your final thoughts before we say goodbye.
No, nothing on my side. Thanks, Dirk, for hosting the show again. It's been brilliant. Lewis Hamilton, 2 races until you come home. We were waiting for you. See you guys. Please subscribe when you have the time, when you enjoy the content. And we'll see you guys the next week.
Yes, next week.
Oh, so it's a race this weekend.
It's a triple header again. We're doing one next week and the week after that. Yes.
Oh, God is good. But see you guys. Anything you want to say, Dirk?
Yeah, guys, final thoughts. Like BT said, don't forget to hit that subscribe down below. And don't forget to ding that bell to never miss a future podcast here on Break at the Apex. Remember to drop a like down below. Go check out everything in the description down below. And my final thoughts is the same as BT. Lewis, it's gonna be mighty fine to see that 44 on a prancing horse. Cheers, guys.
Oh yeah. Before we go, I was about to ask you: is he gonna have the same number though? He's not gonna change his
Yeah.
number.
No, he's not going to change it.
Oh, that's awesome. See you guys.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.